Hello and welcome to Northside Now. This is the podcast where three lovable hosts take you on a tour through the ministries and all the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. I'm Patrick, and with me as always are my two co-hosts, Glenn Miller and Kevin Bryant.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
Afternoon, whatever it is when you're listening to this.
Hello, hello.
And Glenn, do you want to introduce who is also with us today?
Special guest.
Yeah, we do. We have a refugee from Texas.
Hello.
Jake Corbin, my son-in-law, Celeste's husband, is here, and he's on leave from the Army for a couple of weeks and is in town. So they brought Clay up, and so they're here visiting us. They survived the Snowpocalypse.
The Snowpocalypse, yeah.
So welcome to the podcast room, Jake.
Thanks. Snowvid 21, it's over.
Snowvid. Oh, yeah, they were calling it Snowvid.
They're calling it
Snowvid.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and we're at a place where the vid part of things seems to be getting better. We're seeing lower numbers and more people getting shots. And well, let's just hope and pray that this continues and we're past the vids of life, the COVIDs for sure.
Yeah, my fingers are crossed that most of this is behind us by June 26th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, because Top Gun 2 comes out that day.
Because Top Gun 2 comes out that day.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing before I get married.
And we hope that you all enjoyed the Valentine's specials, even though one kind of got pushed late because of the weather that we've been having, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, we definitely mentioned June 26th many times, not because of Top Gun 2, but because of Patrick and Elizabeth's wedding that's coming up.
Pending nuptials.
That's going to be so much fun. Going to be a good day. And hopefully everyone survived the West Tennessee Snowpocalypse or Snowvid or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the last time that we got that much.
I don't know.
You guys remember?
I remember one snow like 2003 or something that was pretty big, but I
think they had one around 2010, 12, somewhere in there. It was in March.
There was some a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but it didn't last quite as long. It was a good bit because I remember I got a couple of days off, but
yeah, well, having such a big time period of just the cold weather where the roads were frozen like that. I mean, that doesn't happen here normally.
No.
So
Yeah, I mean the cold temperature made it treacherous.
Yeah,
it really wasn't for me. I've had plenty of snow driving experience going to school up north, but when it gets cold, then if anything melts, then overnight it
refreezes.
Yeah. It refreezes, and then anything that's frozen stays frozen. Especially if you're not applying salt or whatever to the roads, that it won't ever really have a chance to melt.
Well, I finally got some use out of the 4-wheel drive on my Jeep.
I was going to say, this was my first snow with a 4-wheel drive, and I don't want to do any more snows without 4-wheel drive.
I've got that Jeep Trailhawk, and I felt really, I've been underutilizing it just driving around. But it's got like a snow mode on it. I've got a little setting for the snow. Yeah. I don't know. It's supposed to give it better traction, I guess, on slippery surfaces. But I finally got to use it. Yeah. I mean, I was driving around.
I know. My old Blue Bonnet, he just trucked right on through everything. No, I didn't slide once, I don't think, anywhere.
Now, let me ask you, you think there's a snow mode? Now, I don't have one, obviously. Otherwise, I would be able to tell you. But on a Tesla, it's got all these modes, right? Is there a snow mode on a Tesla?
I'm sure there is.
Well,
I don't know.
I think Jeep's working on one. I know they're working on, Ford and Chevy are working on utility vehicles and trucks that will supposedly be 4-wheel drive with, they're telling us in 15 years, this is what you're going to be buying when you go to the store.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope it does. If it doesn't, is it worth having?
Is Ford working on or have they already released, somebody's released a all electric pickup?
I think it was Ford, wasn't it?
I think it's Ford. I know Chevy's working on one. I know Ford is working on an all-electric Bronco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, didn't they just, maybe I'm wrong, didn't they do like an all-electric Mustang here recently?
Maybe. I don't know.
I thought I saw that.
We had this conversation the last couple of days that thinking about automobile manufacturers and all this and the lifespan of the E85. That was kind of the thing for a while, and then we got into hybrids. And my thought is the way it seems like it's going is that we'll be more all electric, and E85 will go away. But I don't know that because the E85 is a lot about politics and subsidies and farming and various different things in corn. So it's just interesting that, I mean, that was really hot for a while, but I don't know if it's taken off like it seems like electric is going now.
Yeah.
With even, I think someone was saying that Tennessee has got plans to put in charging stations every 50 miles or whatever it is.
Got several. I know, like Casey Jones and Walmart here in town have charging stations. And it was really funny. Jake being in the room. There was a lot of funny memes that going around about Texas. You can't keep the lights on now. What are you going to do when everybody gets home and plugs in their car at the same time? Exactly. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting challenges to go that direction, I think. And, farming and stuff, diesel and gas. I don't think you'll totally, I say that. I sound old.
You're just
sound
old
when I say I don't think they'll ever do that way.
Well, I think about that a Caterpillar, like a big old bulldozer.
Yeah.
Will it be electric? I don't know. I mean, you can get some pretty serious power out of electric motors.
They're getting a lot better. That Mustang says it'll go 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds.
Yikes.
So, which, hey, that's faster than my
when
Jeep.
you're really late to work, that comes into
exactly.
play.
Yeah. All electric.
But at 19 minutes, you're having to push it. Or will they get to like where you'll be some human power where you can sit there and talk and like pedal it and
The Fred Flintstone method?
and recharge it.
Oh.
Self-charging.
I don't know, man. The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Well, it is interesting because I know they're looking at 18-wheelers and big trucks and stuff like that. And the military is looking at, no manned flights of planes in the future and even ships that will be fairly unmanned. I know some of the cargo freighters are looking at that too. It's a lot of change.
Yep.
Yep.
It's kind of exciting.
But it says in Scripture, and it came to pass that you're going to get change. That's the only thing we're guaranteed.
That's right.
So
That's right.
And it came to pass. I use that Scripture more and more all the time.
There's a time and a season for everything.
There is a time and a season. Old Ecclesiastes 3 reminding us that for sure. And speaking of which, I mean, we are getting to the point where y'all, in just a couple, 3 weeks, we get to set the clocks ahead and start thinking about spring things. And Easter was coming. We're in the middle of Lent. Well, we're 2 weeks into Lent.
Yeah.
So when we're recording this.
Which honestly, I kind of slipped my mind when we didn't have the Ash Wednesday service. Because for me, that's like kind of the official start. And so when we didn't have that service, I kind of forgot about it until we had the service last Wednesday, and I was like, oh yeah, we're a week into Lent.
Yeah. And so, I held off on letting off my Diet Coke and chocolate until this week. And so
I think I'm giving up Brussels sprouts this year.
I know it always cracks me up when people talk about, those kinds of things. And, I'm going to give up Diet Coke and chocolate and I'm really going to suffer for Jesus. Yeah. Come on now.
Well, I've done various things over the years, but we've never really been big on fasting that particular way. I mean, I've done fast just to do it, and it's been good things, but I do try and add something in. So it's really refocusing on a scripture reading or devotion time or something like that. Now, it's just like anything else that if you put energy and attention into it, you'll be successful, and if you don't, then you'll struggle. But I think it's always a good time to refocus.
It is. And especially, if there's these things that really do take your focus off of God and really do take your mind and your heart away from developing that relationship, this is a great, great time to do this refocusing thing. I know everybody kind of looks at the first of the year. Well, January 1, for me and being in youth ministry forever and a day, my world works around school schedules. And so in a lot of ways, Lent feels like a new beginning, a new time to do that as you're getting ready to move into spring and summer. So it's always a good thing to refocus and look at. So, for a lot of us, maybe putting our phones down or checking your screen time or, just and use that time that you were using there to spend it in scripture and prayer. And
I'm sorry, what were you talking about? I was looking at my phone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was noticing over there, and that's the reason I kept trying to go, repent, Patrick, repent.
That's right. Well, speaking of all the weather, I would be interested in hearing, Jake, kind of your experience, because I just talking a little bit before we went on air, it sounds like it was a little inconvenient, shall we say.
Sure, let me tell you. Texans are not built for the cold weather.
Right, Glenn?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, my first couple of years, I froze in Tennessee, y'all, and it was nothing like it was this year. I mean, I was everywhere I went. So
And that's funny that we had to come to Tennessee to escape the snow and the ice from Texas, and how that affected us for about 5 days there. We were without power. So
now you and Celeste are a young couple, and you've lived up where you have all the modern amenities you always have had. So what were some old-fashioned skills that you had to deploy this past few weeks?
I didn't know we had that many candles in our house.
And they came in handy, probably.
They did.
You weren't trying to like make a fire with a couple of sticks in the living room.
No device is going to keep you warm like the candle and the clay pot method that was passed around, and old fashioned blankets, and we made a blanket fort and trapped that heat in there, and we did that for a while, and that was fun.
And y'all have a baby too, so that made it even more fun. So,
well, the thing that helped us out a lot. Now, we didn't have power loss, but we used our fireplaces. Now, we've had various fireplaces over the years. We've had the vented ones. We actually had a real wood fireplace at one point. Yeah. And this would be a question maybe for Roland or our JA folks, but in terms of dollar for dollar, if you use your gas fireplace or your furnace, which is more efficient?
Gas fireplace or furnace? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good question.
And so my theory is, if we're all sort of together in one space, like in the room with the fireplace, then maybe running the fireplace makes more sense, and we're not heating the whole house. Mm-hmm. But that's just been my little thought as we get into the cold weather. But we used it quite a bit.
Does your gas fireplace, does it have a blower where it blows out into the room?
No, it's open. It's not. It's not vented, but it doesn't have any glass in front of it, so the heat comes right straight out. So then we use the ceiling fans for circulation. So that's what we did, and it was really cold here. We didn't really have any issues with pipes and things like that, thank goodness. But that's something I thought about when it was cold.
Well, one thing, the marinas around up and down the river, because of the amount of snow we're talking like tons of snow, and it was pushing down the marinas that float onto the boats. And I heard it, even one of them had collapsed somewhere at one of the marinas. And you stop and think about how much weight snow and ice, we're just not used to that kind of stuff, especially long term.
When you tell people in Jackson aren't used to driving on it either.
Oh no. Well, add that to Texas.
That too, yeah.
A lot of 4-wheel drive trucks, but no one knows how to use them.
Yeah, it's they're more used to mudding than they are snowing.
That's right. Well, we took the chance to get a couple of our kids out in it. I texted you that one day. Yeah. Because you don't get a lot of experience, to your point, driving on it.
Yeah.
And it's not the best idea to get your experience in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, beforehand is better. So we went into our neighborhood and where there was less risk of damage, and slam on the brakes, see what happens.
Yeah.
And when you fishtail or when you lose traction, you'll know what that feels like in the future.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've learned over the years is the safest path is the straight path. Yeah. Once you start turning for whatever reason, whether you have to or not, then that's where it comes off the rails, so to speak.
Well, we are hoping that everyone, like we were talking about, is over the snow and the ice, and we're glad that Texas is thawed out and the lights are back on. And the Motel 6s are the lights back on. They're inviting people, and we're hoping that you're looking forward to moving towards spring and things. And we have some exciting things that are coming up, and some good breaking news coming down the way that we'll have guests in as we have outreach and things like that coming on. Today, we just really don't have a whole lot in the hopper to tell you about. But Patrick, do you have a couple?
Well, we got a lot of things in the work, but really, now that we've started Lent, it's more just kind of looking towards Easter. Palm Sunday is the end of March, and then Easter's that first Sunday in April.
Yeah, and I know Christy's working on Easter egg hunts. And there are some more outreach opportunities coming. And there's, I think children are getting ready to kick back up, and the youth, and we're looking at planning summer events, and
there's
so
definitely a lot in the works. More than we've had in a while. So.
Yeah, and it feels good.
Yeah, we're starting to roll again. So
it feels good, almost as good as the space moment.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's just so much to talk about, honestly. And I've said this before, that it really feels like it's a cool time to be alive, but for many different reasons. We talked about electric vehicles just a little bit before we went on air. So many things are changing, right?
Yeah.
The thing that I've been sort of glued to this last couple of weeks is the Mars landing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With the program is we've sent rovers and all kinds of satellites and things in the past, and it's all in preparation to send humans at some point. But the Perseverance rover landed, I guess it was maybe a couple weeks ago. And it's the first time that they recorded live video of the landing.
Yeah.
And so it didn't come back to Earth right away. I think it takes like 11 minutes is the delay, just because the speed
crazy.
of light, it's that far.
It's the first video of a spacecraft landing on another planet that we actually have.
Yeah.
I mean,
with sound.
Yeah, with sound.
With sound. But what I really think is, when I look at it, it's a shame, because I look at it and I actually had this thought of, wow, this video's shaky. It's like this must be fake. This doesn't even look right. And so the technology for all the films that we see.
Yeah, we're so jaded by Hollywood
special effects. So realistic that's what we think of when we think of whatever this is. And I had to stop myself and say, well, this really happened,
Yeah.
So that's just I guess a testament to how sophisticated the folks that do special effects in Hollywood are. And you've looked at credits. I mean, there's like bazillions of people in the credits of movies. So it's not like it's magic and it happens. People make it happen. But anyway, so there's that. And then this mission had several different things that were unique. So the rover, as opposed to landing in a capsule or something and then the capsule opening and it kind of crawling out of it, it was and I think this is the second time they've done it, but it was a crane maneuver. So it's this vehicle that sort of hovers above the ground, and then the rover is lowered on a cable, and then when it touches down, then the flying vehicle flies away somewhere. But the cool thing for this one is that underneath the rover is a drone.
Yeah.
That is, I think it's Ingenuity is the name. So it's Perseverance is the rover and Ingenuity is this drone. But they had to adjust it because the atmosphere is thinner. And so it had to have bigger rotors on it. But it's going to be the first time that a self-powered flying vehicle will be used on a different planet.
It's so exciting. I'm sorry.
That is so cool.
As a kid who grew up just like loving science fiction, and it's exciting. So.
And they can map out the areas beyond, kind of around and where the rover is, and get a more detailed view than the satellite would in those, and do investigations and exploration and stuff. I just think that is fantastic.
What are we going to do with that little Martian from Bugs Bunny who waves at the drone? It's like, hello, I've been waiting on you.
Yes, right.
No, I just keep waiting for a sand crawler to come across the dunes with all the Jawas.
It's so incredible. And to think, we're sitting there talking, and we talk about creation and stuff, and how God he created this beautiful planet we're on, and just how it sustains a lot. It's just unbelievable. And to sit there and think, we now have gone to Mars in 11 minutes.
Yeah.
From there to here.
Mm-hmm.
It left in July, right? It flew there since July. That's fast.
Yeah. So 7 months to get there. And then
11 minutes it can talk back and forth. That's just so mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. And then all the stuff they're talking about with the moon, and having a woman on the moon is part of the plan.
Yeah.
And then having a mini space station around the moon. It's called Gateway, but they have waypoint, you know, between wherever, and then doing space refueling and, you know, all this stuff that we do on Earth with planes, and, you know, the military for sure is highly advanced in all of those things. But it's
Jake's not supposed to tell you, but they actually already have a military base on the dark side of the moon.
You can get stationed on the moon. You didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, some people would say I've been living there for years.
Well, and there's other countries, you know, on Mars as well. So I'm wondering, like, is there like a big game of robot wars going on up there? You know, with their and we
it's
just
like BattleBots.
We're BattleBots. That's it. That was what the show was, BattleBots. But we're the first ones to bring the Air Force with us. Yeah, you know, BattleBots with a little.
So does
drone.
Perseverance have like a big axe or a razor, like a saw blade on it or something? You know, a little catapult on the front of it.
This is what happens whenever we all get together, y'all. This is the stuff that doesn't get recorded very often.
Yeah, the last thing I was going to say, well, a couple things. If you're interested in this, I mean, not everybody's interested in space. I get that, but SpaceX is doing some pretty groundbreaking things in terms of the using methane as fuel and the rockets that they have. One of the things I wanted to end with, you know, we just came out of Black History Month.
Yeah.
And we're heading into Women's History Month.
Okay.
And so I wanted to kind of, for folks out there that need a history lesson or something, but talk about Mae Jemison. Have you ever heard of Mae Jemison?
Oh, wait. I think I heard that name recently. I know it. Oh, I forgot. I know what you're going to say, but I forgot.
Oh, yeah, I know all about her. But just for our listeners,
would you
explain that?
And I think I know exactly. And it was like, I just learned this. And so it was pretty amazing.
Well, she is the first African-American woman to travel in space. She's still living. And so she went up on this space shuttles. Pretty accomplished person, born in Decatur, Alabama. And, you know, just decided she wanted to study science at a very young age. And so many of the astronauts, if they're not connected to the military, are very accomplished intellectuals or you know, PhDs, multiple PhDs. I just really thought it was pretty neat that she is fluent in Russian, Japanese, and Swahili.
Oh,
Isn't
wow.
that a pretty wide collection of...
Well, and so she can talk to everybody up on the moon.
I mean, yeah. So anyway, and she served as an astronaut for a long time. She even got to be on Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Oh, really?
I think that was the only astronaut that's been on
cool.
on Star Trek. But anyway, I encourage you to go look her up and celebrate that life. She's still living and still doing lots of space-related things and consultations in business and other areas. So anyway, I just thought that was really neat.
That is very, very cool.
Well, I was impressed to see the toy photos that came out of the 2/3 of the lovable hosts.
we had to take advantage of the snow. We don't get that very often.
That was so fun.
You did that with your Canon DSLR cameras?
Mine were.
I just took mine with my cell phone.
Was that you with your cell phone?
Yeah,
I wondered about what
you
used.
Yeah, if you want to go to my Instagram page, you can check out some pictures I took.
That they are really, really cool. Now, on the one that you did, Glenn, did you actually throw snow?
Yeah, I did.
It looks like his Jeep 4x4 is spitting snow out as it's trying to get out of this canyon.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
It's funny. Watched a lot of YouTube videos to figure this out, and then shared a bunch with Patrick, and so. But I got Summer came home and she was helping me do it, and just getting the right. It was an adventure, but to me, my pictures did not turn out nowhere near it. Patrick's are awesome, and it really looks amazing. But just setting up your camera and all that goes with that was really fun, and just trying to think of different things. And I don't have as good of toys as he's got. He's got much better toys than I do.
The most difficult part for me was having my niece out there with me who kept wanting to play with the toys while I was trying to to snap some pictures. So, yeah, definitely
check out Patrick's pictures. His are good. I mean, mine were fun, and I appreciate everybody saying they were good, but it was so much fun. Like I said, I need better toys. And so, Barbie, if you're listening to this, I need better toys.
Well, while we're on the subject of toys, I don't have quite as much news as Kevin did with space, but I teased a few episodes ago about the Toddy Awards, the toy awards. Well, they've announced the winners, and I got to give a shout out to the toy of the year was the animatronic Baby Yoda. So
really?
He won toy of the year.
Wow.
So, Yeah, got to give props to the little Grogu. So
how big is it?
It's like 9 inches, I think. I mean, it's a pretty good size. And
okay.
And his ears move.
Yeah.
He has like 25 different programmable like sounds and stuff.
The little coos.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Yako was here a few episodes ago with Squeaky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking through Walmart the other day, and they have one that's a little monkey-looking guy with Squeaky. So there's a Squeaky monkey thing.
But it's a balloon animal.
But it's a balloon animal animatronic deal.
That's
it's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat.
There's a lot of Star Wars had a decent showing in the awards and all the different categories. It also won the license of the year.
Oh wow.
Character or property that had success spreading its brand through the development and merchandising of products developed from the intellectual property.
Huh.
So
Disney's doing okay.
yeah, they're not hurting.
Yeah. Wow. You can just only imagine the amount of money that flows through that place is going to be.
No doubt.
And
just crazy.
Star Wars has always kind of been on the cutting edge of the toy world as well as everything else. Before Star Wars, movies didn't get action figures. That was something unheard of before Star Wars. So
okay.
They really revolutionized the toy industry and the way all that is sold and everything. So
Yeah, I guess because really before that you had
G.I. Joe for
G.I.
guys
Joe.
was pretty much it.
the Army.
a
Men.
little bit of television shows would have it, but because movies weren't as easily accessible,
Yeah.
the toy companies didn't think that they would hold kids' attention long enough to develop the toys and get them out. And by the time the toys would come out from the movie, kids would have moved on to the next thing and forgotten about the movie. And you didn't really have in-home viewing. So
Well, and you think about, I guess I think about the movies of that time period. Well, even really a little bit before that, but I mean, you had Godzilla. I was trying to think of some of the movies that had creature, like, I mean, you would
pre-1977. So.
Yeah.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
You'd have those kinds of things, but I mean, some of those are kind of scary. I mean, you don't.
But I was trying to think like Roy Rogers. There was like a Roy Rogers and Trigger set up.
That's true.
And there were some cars, like Smokey and the Bandit car, but that's about the same time, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had some of that stuff, but you didn't have like a full toy line.
Yeah.
Especially not something that revolutionized the industry.
Yeah.
Because it revolutionized the toy industry just like the movie revolutionized the movie industry.
Yeah.
So
And we talk about, toys and stuff, but whenever you're talking with kids who have undergone traumatic things and they're dealing with stuff, toys, play therapy is such a big deal. And there's such a large spiritual component to talking with people when you have toys and you have things you can hold and talk with, and so these toys that, everybody's like, oh, they're little boys are talking about toys. Well, there's a little bit more to it than just that. And when you look at all they've been used for, and, we sit here and, I mean, just the memories that are popping back up talking about what I played with when I was a kid, who I was with. And
for me, that's what a lot of it is that nostalgia factor, which they're hitting me really good this year because it's also the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. So they're putting out some redone figures from the last, however many years. They're doing like old Kenner style remakes, and they're doing stuff from when I was a kid, like Phantom Menace Episode 1. I just want that 6-inch Jar Jar Binks. That I'm really looking for that one on the old card back. So
Elizabeth's going to have to dedicate a whole room to all of the new action figures.
Oh yeah, we've already talked about adding in a Star Wars line item on the monthly budget. So
hey, at least you're doing that though. That's good.
So is that in your gift registry?
Yeah, she wouldn't let me put any on the registry because there's a few that I tried to talk her into letting me get. But
just talk, and again, you start thinking about who you were with and the stories. Could you imagine what the stories of some of your toys could tell? And this reason that's the whole purpose and premise of the show, Toy Story. But Jake and I were yesterday. He went with me, and some old shotguns were passed down to my family, and we went to a guy who could tell us all about them, or we thought he could tell us more.
Oh, that's cool.
And one was 1906, and the other we're not 100% sure. We know it was before 1917. But the stories that those people had who carried those afield for fun and for sport, probably feeding family, and just the things, we give things a bad rap a lot of times because it so often becomes that God that we should be lenting from, we should be doing that. But you stop and think about all the stories of it's like this old church buildings, all the stories those people could tell, that the pews could talk.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that we've tried to help teach our kids is the value of history.
Yeah.
And I get it that sometimes history is not exciting to people. It's like, why would we care about dead people?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The
stories from dead people. Well, I mean, that's the stories in the Bible.
Yeah. Oral
Except for Jesus, they're all dead.
Exactly.
But, there is so much rich value you can get from that. I had the honor and the privilege to be able to speak to my grandmother, who was 90. Well, not toward the end, but when in her 90s, and talk about, her life stories.
Yeah.
And she and my grandfather actually wrote a bunch of them down. Yeah. That's what I would like to try and do at some point. I mean, that's some of the value of memoirs, right?
Yeah.
But just to know and to see in those stories that, things have changed. It's an exciting time to be alive with all these things we've talked about, technology, but some things really just haven't changed.
Yeah.
The way humans work.
Yeah.
The way God has worked in people over the millennia.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that, when it comes down to it, that's the stuff that matters. That's the stuff that endures. That's the stuff that changes lives. It could be the story of a handed down heirloom, firearm or a blanket or any of that kind of stuff. And that time that you spend in conversation and sort of journeying back or whatever it is, can be some really, really cool time.
Oh, definitely.
We really try and help or encourage our kids. When you're with your grandparents, I mean, it should be a fun time. You should get spoiled, all the things that grandparents do, right? But when you get a chance, when you're old enough to have those more adult conversations, ask them about what was the biggest mistake you made in your life, or, those kinds of things, because, as I get older, that's something I'm looking forward to doing with my grandkids and talk about, the things I've learned, the lessons I've learned the hard way, those kinds of things. And I think scripturally, that is something when it talks about the old women and the old men and how they're supposed to partner with the younger ones.
Yes.
That's by design.
Yeah, definitely. Our things and stuff tell the stories that a lot of times we don't get the chance to. And if they could, it would just, it's just so cool. So cool. Well, and I'm here to help inform our listeners about a new generational war.
Oh, boy.
Oh, is this your YouTube rabbit hole this week?
Yes, this is my YouTube rabbit hole, which actually wasn't 100% YouTube. YouTube did help me a little bit with this, though. But I had a few other sources, and I'll share those if you want me to. But it's really not that important because you can find them fairly easily on the internet. But we are in the midst of another generational war. And it's not like really old people against really young people anymore.
Like Pepsi and Coke.
Yeah. And it's the millennials against the Gen Zers.
Okay, well, what's going on?
This is sad for a lot of us out there. They are fighting over emojis. Now, normally, if I was texting, I would put a laughy face emoji right there. But the Gen Zers, our youth, our college students, and they are upset that the millennials are just ruined the laughy face emoji. So they are using new emojis to show their emotions.
See, I want to hear more.
Nothing the Gen Zers do makes sense. Don't pay any
old
attention.
Guy.
Yeah. They also tell you to part your hair in the middle. Who wants a middle part? That looks bad.
That was actually part of this article.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to take fashion advice from these people out here looking like they just rolled through Goodwill and just whatever stuck to them is what they're wearing. Like,
so they're just young people from the 70s.
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
Isn't it funny how the generational things? But now we're having a generational war because of emojis.
Okay. So yeah, help me understand this a little bit more.
All right. So they think that like the laughy face emoji with the little tears coming out the side, the big wide mouth, is so overused and just does not truly share their language because they use a different kind of talk and emoji. So a lot of Gen Zers have gone to the laughing skull head to show their laughing stuff, or they've gone to things that don't even, like you and I or no one else would even know that that's why they're laughing. But the emojis are causing a major breakdown in our society.
Yep, it's all the emojis' fault.
So that is actually one of the really cool things I found this week, and it's interesting. It is part of our society and our culture and our subcultures. And
well, I will say when things are really funny, you do say, I'm dead, you know,
I'm dead. That's the way they do it. And so that's the reason they're using the laughy skull.
In a roundabout way, it makes some sense. But
and it used to drive me crazy. Summer used to say that a lot. I'm dead, or I'm dying. And I'm just like, don't say that. Don't put that, because
don't put that out into the ether.
Because, well, yeah. And because of generational things, my dad would call me, is Summer okay? Well, Dad, yeah, she's fine. What's wrong? And he's like, well, she put this post on Facebook or whatever. And it's like, well, let me look. That's just how they talk, or that's song lyrics or something like that. No, she's totally fine. That's just a different way of communicating, you know, groovy or something like that. Or, you know, that's hip. Or, well, I remember when I was growing up.
Rad.
You know, Kevin, do you remember when things were, you know, you go, man, that's bad. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. It's totally bad.
That's totally bad, but that really meant great.
That's right. Well, it's just like, oh, that's sick.
That's sick, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why would he be sick?
Yeah.
That's not a good thing, right?
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to say that's sick, or, oh, Kevin, you're sick, or Patrick, you know, that was a sick move. You know, you'll end up in the COVID unit if you do that in today's world. So there we go. Our youth and our young adults are at odds over emojis. So please do what you can do and share the love of Jesus out there so that people will find the way in the middle to, I don't know, use the laughing cat or something. I don't know. So there we go. So be aware who you're texting and what emojis you're LOLing to. Well, we hope that you enjoyed today, just us visiting and having this conversation with you. That's what we want it to be. We want it to be a conversation that you would want to be in the room with us, and we would invite you if you would like to come, contact one of us. And especially if you are here at Northside and you have a ministry area and you feel like, you know, you'd like to spend a little more time with that, give us a holler, because that's what we want to do, is we want to highlight some of what's going on at Northside and on the campus and around. And it's not necessarily, it's a place to help us inform our church members and our Northside family and community. So it's good to be away from the snow and to be with y'all again. Please keep listening and pay attention, because there's a lot more coming, and we want you to stay current with what's going on at Northside now.
Bye-bye.
Holla.